Your Facebook ads are generating leads, but nobody is actually buying. And honestly, this is one of the most frustrating situations in digital marketing. Because at first, the campaign doesn't even look broken. Leads are coming in consistently, forms are getting submitted, notifications keep appearing, and emotionally, it feels like the campaign should be working. But then something confusing starts happening. The sales calls go nowhere. Messages stop getting replies. People lose interest quickly. And suddenly, the leads that looked exciting stop turning into real business completely. Now the pressure starts building very quickly because clients start asking difficult questions immediately. Why are these leads not converting? Are we attracting the wrong people? Are these leads even serious buyers at all? And honestly, this is where many marketers make a major mistake. They focus only on generating more leads instead of understanding why the existing leads never became buyers in the first place. So budgets increase, campaigns expand, more forms get submitted. But underneath, the real quality problem never gets solved properly. If you've ever experienced Facebook ads generating leads that never turn into real customers, you're definitely not alone, because this problem happens constantly in meta advertising. And in this video, we're going to break down why many Facebook leads never convert, what hidden problems destroy buyer intent, and how experienced marketers identify the difference between lead volume and real customer quality. Because once you understand this properly, you stop chasing cheap lead numbers emotionally and start focusing on attracting people who are actually more likely to buy. One of the biggest mistakes marketers make with Facebook lead campaigns is becoming emotionally obsessed with cheap lead costs. And honestly, this mistake quietly destroys many campaigns long before marketers realize what's actually happening. At first, the numbers look exciting. Cost per lead drops. More forms get submitted. Lead volume increases quickly. And emotionally, it feels like the campaign is improving because lower costs create the feeling of stronger efficiency. But then something frustrating starts happening afterward. The leads stop responding. Sales calls go nowhere. Very few people actually become paying customers. And suddenly, the campaign that looks successful on paper stops creating real business results. This happens because Facebook's system naturally optimizes toward easier actions first. And many times, the easiest people to generate leads from are not the people most likely to buy seriously. So over time, the campaign may begin attracting low-intent users, casual curiosity, emotionally impulsive signups, instead of attracting real buyers with strong purchase intent. Now something dangerous starts happening underneath. Lead volume keeps increasing, while lead quality quietly weakens at the same time. This is why experienced marketers analyze much deeper than cost per lead metrics alone. They study buyer intent, lead responsiveness, sales conversion rates, long-term customer quality. Because successful lead generation is not just about generating forms. It's about attracting people who are actually more likely to become customers afterward. And honestly, many Facebook lead campaigns don't fail because lead generation stopped working. They fail because the campaign slowly optimized for cheap actions instead of valuable buyers. One of the biggest reasons Facebook leads never convert into real customers is that many leads were never serious buyers in the first place. And honestly, this is one of the hardest truths for marketers to accept emotionally. Because once a form gets submitted, it feels like real buying interest exists. The lead entered the funnel. The notification appeared. The campaign generated a result. So emotionally, marketers naturally assume progress is happening. But submitting a form and having genuine buying intent are not always the same thing. And this is where many lead campaigns quietly become misleading underneath. Because Facebook is extremely good at generating quick emotional actions. People click impulsively. People get curious. People submit forms emotionally in the moment. But afterward, real purchase motivation may never fully exist. Now something frustrating starts happening. The leads stop responding consistently. Calls feel disconnected. Conversations lose momentum quickly. And slowly, the sales process reveals that many people were never serious buyers to begin with. This becomes even more dangerous when campaigns optimize heavily for high lead volume. Because over time, Facebook may continue finding users who submit forms easily, but rarely commit seriously afterward. This is why experienced marketers analyze buyer intent much deeper than lead quantity alone. They study response quality, conversation engagement, purchase motivation, long-term conversion behavior. Because successful lead generation is not just about capturing attention emotionally. It's about attracting people who are psychologically ready to move forward seriously afterward. And honestly, many Facebook lead campaigns don't fail because lead generation stopped working. They fail because the campaign kept attracting emotionally easy signups instead of serious buyers with real intent. Another major reason Facebook leads never become real customers is that many lead forms are designed to create submissions too easily. And honestly, this problem quietly destroys lead quality much faster than many marketers realize. At first, low-friction forms look extremely successful. Lead volume increases quickly, cost per lead drops. More people enter the funnel. And emotionally, the campaign appears to be performing very well. Because easy forms naturally generate more activity. But then something frustrating starts happening afterward. The leads stop responding consistently. Calls feel disconnected. Very few people move forward seriously. And slowly, marketers realize the submission process created very little real commitment emotionally. This happens because when forms become too easy, many people submit information impulsively without strong buying intent behind the action. There's very little psychological investment involved. Just a quick click, a fast submission, a moment of curiosity. But afterward, the emotional motivation disappears just as quickly. Now, the campaign starts generating large amounts of weak engagement instead of serious buyers. This becomes even more dangerous when marketers optimize aggressively for lower lead costs afterward. Because over time, Facebook keeps finding users who complete forms easily, but rarely commit seriously beyond the initial action. This is why experienced marketers think carefully about lead friction, not just lead volume, because sometimes slightly higher friction creates much stronger buyer intent afterward. They analyze lead responsiveness, follow-up engagement, sales conversation quality, commitment behavior, because successful lead generation is not just about making forms easier to submit. It's about attracting people willing to take meaningful action seriously afterward. And honestly, many Facebook lead campaigns don't fail because the forms were difficult. They fail because the forms became so easy that real commitment disappeared completely. Another major reason Facebook leads never become paying customers is that many campaigns attract curiosity instead of real buying intent. And honestly, this problem quietly destroys lead quality long before marketers notice the real issue underneath. At first, the ads perform well emotionally. People engage quickly. Click-through rates increase. Lead forms get submitted consistently. And naturally, the campaign appears successful on the surface because attention creates momentum emotionally. But then something confusing starts happening afterward. The leads stop responding seriously. Sales conversations lose energy quickly. Very few people actually move toward purchasing. And slowly, marketers realize the campaign attracted attention, but not strong commitment. This happens because many Facebook ads are designed mainly to trigger curiosity emotionally. The messaging feels exciting. The hooks create intrigue. The promises generate fast attention. But afterward, the actual buyer motivation behind the action may be extremely weak. Now, the campaign begins generating people who were interested emotionally in the moment, but never truly intended to buy seriously afterward. This becomes especially dangerous when marketers optimize heavily for engagement metrics. Because over time, Facebook may continue finding users most likely to click and engage emotionally, instead of users most likely to become serious customers later. Now something frustrating happens underneath. Lead volume stays active, while actual sales quality keeps weakening quietly at the same time. This is why experienced marketers think carefully about the type of attention their campaigns attract, not just how much attention they generate. They analyze buyer seriousness, conversion motivation, sales intent, customer psychology after the click. Because successful lead generation is not just about attracting curiosity emotionally. It's about attracting people already psychologically closer to making a real buying decision. And honestly, many Facebook lead campaigns don't fail because the ads performed poorly. They fail because the ads attracted curiosity much more effectively than real purchase intent. One of the most frustrating parts about Facebook lead generation is how quickly many leads lose interest after submitting their information. And honestly, this problem confuses many marketers because the lead initially looked interested emotionally. The form was completed. The action happened. The campaign generated a result. So naturally, it feels like serious buying intent should already exist. But then something frustrating starts happening afterward. Messages stop getting replies. Calls feel disconnected. Follow-ups lose momentum quickly. And slowly, marketers realize the emotional motivation behind the lead disappeared almost immediately after submission. This happens because many Facebook leads are generated during short emotional spikes. A moment of curiosity, a moment of excitement, a moment of impulse. But afterward, the emotional urgency fades once the person returns to normal daily behavior again. Now something dangerous starts happening underneath. The campaign keeps generating submissions, but long-term buyer seriousness remains weak. This becomes especially common in low-friction lead campaigns, where commitment feels extremely small psychologically. Because when very little emotional investment is required, very little emotional attachment often exists afterward as well. This is why experienced marketers focus heavily on post-lead psychology, not just lead generation itself. They analyze response speed, engagement quality, follow-up behavior, emotional commitment after submission. Because successful lead generation is not just about capturing attention during a short emotional moment. It's about maintaining buyer motivation long enough for serious sales conversations to happen afterward. And honestly, many Facebook leads don't disappear because follow-up failed completely. They disappear because the original emotional motivation behind the lead was never strong enough to survive beyond the initial action itself. When experienced marketers analyze Facebook lead campaigns, they usually think very differently from beginners. Because beginners often focus mainly on visible lead numbers first. More forms, lower cost per lead, higher submission volume, and emotionally, those numbers feel exciting because activity creates the feeling of progress. But experienced marketers understand something much deeper. Lead generation and customer generation are not always the same thing. So instead of focusing only on how many leads enter the funnel, they focus heavily on the quality of people entering the system underneath. They analyze buyer intent, response behavior, sales conversion quality, long-term customer value. Because many times, fewer high-quality leads create far better business results than large amounts of weak, low-intent leads. This becomes especially important during scaling phases. Because once campaigns optimize too aggressively for lead volume, buyer seriousness often starts weakening underneath the numbers. Now the campaign may still look successful emotionally, while real customer quality quietly declines underneath. This is why experienced marketers study lead behavior after submission very carefully, not just form completion metrics. They monitor conversation engagement, follow-up responsiveness, appointment quality, purchase commitment. Because successful Facebook lead generation is not just about increasing activity. It's about attracting people who are genuinely more likely to become customers afterward. And honestly, this becomes one of the biggest differences between emotional marketing and strategic marketing. Beginners often chase lead volume emotionally. Experienced marketers focus on buyer quality while protecting long-term business results underneath. One of the biggest hidden reasons Facebook leads never become customers is that trust often weakens long before the sales conversation even begins. And honestly, many marketers completely underestimate how important this is psychologically. At first, the lead gets generated successfully. The form is submitted. The contact enters the funnel. The campaign records a conversion. So emotionally, it feels like momentum should already exist. But underneath, the buyer may still feel uncertain emotionally. The offer feels unclear. The messaging feels too aggressive. The experience feels too transactional. And slowly, hesitation starts building before the sales process even begins properly. Now, something frustrating happens afterward. The lead becomes harder to engage. Follow-ups lose momentum quickly. Calls feel emotionally disconnected. And many marketers immediately blame follow-up systems, sales scripts, closing ability. But many times, the real issue started much earlier in the customer journey. Because trust is not created automatically when someone submits a form. And if the campaign mainly triggered curiosity instead of confidence, the emotional commitment behind the lead may remain extremely weak afterward. This becomes especially dangerous in highly competitive industries where buyers already feel skeptical emotionally. Because once trust weakens early, conversion resistance increases much faster underneath the sales process. This is why experienced marketers think carefully about message consistency, trust positioning, emotional clarity, buyer confidence before the lead even enters sales conversations. Because successful lead generation is not just about collecting contact information. It's about creating enough psychological trust for buyers to continue moving forward seriously afterward. And honestly, many Facebook leads don't disappear because the sales team failed completely. They disappear because the campaign never created strong enough trust before the conversation even started. When experienced marketers run Facebook lead campaigns, they usually optimize very differently from beginners. Because beginners often focus heavily on visible dashboard metrics first. Lower CPL, higher lead volume, more submissions. And emotionally, those numbers feel exciting. Because activity creates the feeling that the campaign is growing successfully. But experienced marketers understand something much deeper. A lead only becomes valuable if it eventually turns into real business afterward. So instead of optimizing only for lead quantity, they optimize heavily around buyer quality and long-term conversion behavior. They study sales conversion rates, response engagement, buyer seriousness, long-term customer value, because many times, slightly more expensive leads create far stronger business results overall. This becomes especially important during scaling phases. Because once campaigns optimize too aggressively for cheap lead volume, Facebook often starts finding people easier to convert into forms, but much harder to convert into real paying customers later. Now the campaign may still look successful emotionally inside Ads Manager, while actual revenue quality quietly weakens underneath. This is why experienced marketers constantly connect advertising performance with real business outcomes, not just lead metrics alone. They ask deeper questions. Are the leads responding seriously? Are conversations improving? Are real customers actually increasing over time? Because successful lead generation is not just about creating activity emotionally. It's about attracting people who are genuinely more likely to become profitable customers afterward. And honestly, This becomes one of the biggest differences between emotional advertising and strategic advertising. Beginners often optimize for easier numbers emotionally. Experienced marketers optimize for stronger buyers while protecting long-term business performance underneath. One of the biggest problems in Facebook lead generation is that many marketers begin trusting emotional metrics more than real buyer behavior. And honestly, this quietly damages campaign quality much faster than most people realize. Because at first, the dashboard looks exciting. Cost per lead drops. Lead volume increases. Notifications keep appearing constantly. And emotionally, it feels like the campaign is winning. Because visible activity creates emotional confidence very quickly. But underneath, the actual business quality may already be weakening. The leads stop responding seriously. Sales conversations lose momentum. Very few people become paying customers afterward. And suddenly, the numbers that look successful stop creating real business results completely. This happens because many advertising metrics trigger emotional reactions automatically. Cheap leads feel exciting. High submission volume feels productive. Constant activity feels like growth. But many times, those numbers measure attention and activity much more effectively than real buyer commitment. Now something dangerous starts happening. Marketers begin optimizing emotionally around lower CPL, higher volume, cheaper results, instead of optimizing around buyer seriousness, customer quality, real sales behavior, long-term business performance. And slowly, the campaign starts moving further away from real customer generation underneath the numbers. This is why experienced marketers think very differently about lead performance. They understand something important. Emotional dashboard metrics can create false confidence extremely quickly. So instead of trusting lead activity alone, they connect campaign performance directly to real business outcomes afterward. They analyze response quality, appointment behavior, conversion rates, customer value over time. Because successful Facebook lead generation is not just about making the dashboard look exciting emotionally. It's about creating systems that consistently attract real buyers over time. And honestly, many Facebook lead campaigns don't fail because Meta stopped generating leads. They fail because marketers emotionally optimize around activity metrics instead of actual customer behavior underneath. One of the biggest mindset shifts in Facebook advertising is realizing that generating leads and generating customers are not always the same thing. And honestly, many marketers only fully understand this after experiencing large amounts of leads that never actually convert into real business. At first, lead generation feels exciting. More submissions, more notifications, more dashboard activity. And emotionally, it feels like growth is happening successfully. But over time, experienced marketers begin understanding something much deeper. Real business growth depends on customer quality, not emotional lead volume. Because once campaigns start optimizing too heavily for easy submissions, everything underneath the system begins changing. Buyer seriousness weakens. Commitment becomes smaller. Trust becomes more fragile. And if marketers continue chasing cheap lead numbers emotionally, the campaign slowly moves further away from attracting real buyers underneath. This is why experienced advertisers think very differently about Facebook lead generation. Instead of focusing only on how many people enter the funnel, they focus heavily on the quality of people moving through the funnel afterward. They protect buyer intent, trust positioning, conversion quality, long-term customer value. Because successful lead generation is not just about creating activity emotionally. It's about attracting people genuinely more likely to become profitable customers over time. And honestly, this becomes one of the biggest differences between emotional marketing and strategic marketing. Beginners often chase lead volume emotionally after seeing easy numbers. Experienced marketers focus on attracting stronger buyers while protecting long-term business performance underneath. Because real Facebook advertising success is not just about generating more leads quickly. It's about building systems that consistently create real customer relationships afterward. And once marketers truly understand this, lead generation stops feeling like emotional number chasing and starts becoming a much more strategic customer acquisition process instead. Now, if this video helped you understand why many Facebook leads never actually buy, make sure to explore the other videos already available on the channel as well. We've also started breaking down Meta Ads instability, ROAS collapse psychology, scaling mistakes, conversion problems, and deeper digital marketing execution strategies. Because once you understand how these systems connect together, you stop reacting emotionally to dashboard numbers and start building much stronger long-term marketing systems over time. Thanks for watching, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next video.